Greetings, my fellow Americans. Welcome to Art Regner's video blog for FoxSportsDetroit.com. And now that the election season is finally over and winding down, it is I, Uncle Sam Arthur, ready to give you the State of the Union on our three major football teams here in the state of Michigan. The Detroit Lions, the Michigan Wolverines, and the Michigan State Spartans. And I'm here to report that the State of the Union in football in Michigan it's a little shaky is what it is. Let us begin first with our professional team, the Detroit Lions. The Lions are now finally, kind of look like Papa Smurf. Yeah, there we go. The Lions are now finally 4-4 on the season. They've reached 500, and they have a critical game against the Minnesota Vikings. Even though it seems like 7 years ago that the Lions were relevant, if they beat Minnesota, they are going to be able to put themselves in a position to contend for a playoff berth in the NFC. Believe it or not, their schedule is daunting and difficult, even though it is full of home games at the end. They play Green Bay twice, Houston, Atlanta, and Chicago. And the last time I checked, the three best records in the NFL belong to Houston, Atlanta, and Chicago. So it is daunting, as I said. So, my fellow Americans, what must the Lions do? The key is their front seven. If Detroit's front seven on defense is able to play with reckless abandon and dominate at the point of attack at the line of scrimmage, I actually feel good about the Detroit Lions and their chances of making the playoffs. However, if they do not beat the Minnesota Vikings, Uncle Sam Arthur tells you right now that it will be tough. They have to beat Minnesota first, then play Green Bay at home. They're on the road to Minnesota. And then, after Green Bay at home, they have a short layoff and they have to play the Houston Texans. Yeah, maybe I'll do it this way. The Houston Texans, who could be the best team in football. Certainly the best team in the AFC. Now, that's the key. They must beat Minnesota and put themselves in a position to have very, very big home games, because they do have tiebreakers on most of their NFC opponents for a playoff berth. Now let's turn our attention to the Michigan State Spartans. This is a stunner. This is a shocker. This is incredible that Michigan State is not bowl eligible with only 2 games left to play. The Spartans are 5-5 on the season. They have a bye week this week where I hope that they rest up and do a lot of soul searching and looking in the mirror, because this team should be better. Their defense should be better. Their defense is good enough not only to win the Big Ten, but to compete on a national level for national accolades and acclaim. I'm not sure what's going on with Michigan State, but as far as the State of the Union of football at MSU, it's a little bit down right now and a little bit disappointing. I expect that Mark D'Antonio will learn from this year, and next year Michigan State will be a very, very good football team. However, it is not a given that after this bye week they will be able to finish up the season with 2 victories. They need one to be bowl eligible. I do expect them to win one of those games. Will it be Northwestern in East Lansing, or will it be against the Minnesota Golden Gophers in Minnesota, their last game of the year? I think that it's probably going to end up going against Minnesota. They're going to be 6-6, and they'll end up going to the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl. That seems what it has to be. But this has just been a disappointing year for State. We knew that the offense would take some time, which it did. But the defense has let them down. I know good friends of mine that follow the Michigan State program say their defense is just good enough to lose, and lately it has been that way. I do think they were jobbed a little bit in the Nebraska game. However, they did have opportunities. That 4th and 10 and giving up 38-yard pass play absolutely killed them. So in the end, you've got to look in the mirror, Spartans, and it's up to you. Now, the Michigan Wolverines. Well, the State of the Union for the Michigan Wolverines is about the best, simply because Michigan is already bowl eligible. They're 6-3, and they finally have come to their senses and moved Devin Gardner back to the quarterback position. They have 3 big games left, 2 at home, this coming weekend against Northwestern, then Iowa, which is a pathetic football team, but seems to play well against Michigan-based Big Ten teams for some reason, and then on the road at Ohio State. If Michigan is able to win out and be 9-3, I still expect them not to play in the Big Ten championship game because I don't think Nebraska is going to lose from here on out. They could, but they would have to lose 2 of their 3 remaining games to Cornhuskers, and I just don't see that happening. But if Michigan is 9-3, there's talk that they could get an at-large bid for the BCS, much like they did last year. I do not see that happening, even if they beat Ohio State, which is going to be a tough game in Columbus to end the season. So, this is what I think is going to happen to Michigan. I think that the Wolverines are going to win their 2 remaining home games, and it's a toss-up against Ohio State. But Ohio State's defense, I think Michigan's going to score on them. I know Braxton Miller had a big game in Ann Arbor against Michigan last year and has only gotten better. But again, I think Michigan's key is their defense, which is playing very, very well and could be the best defense in the Big Ten. Truly, they could be the best defense in the Big Ten, and I'm stunned to say that. I thought they would be good, but I did not think that they would be the best team in the Big Ten defensively. So I think Michigan's going to end up going to like the Capital One Bowl or the Big Bowl in Florida and play an SEC opponent, and hopefully they'll be able to end the season with a victory against an SEC opponent as opposed to starting the season against Alabama, an SEC opponent, and thoroughly getting beaten. So there you have it, my fellow Americans, the state of the union of our football teams. Remember, if you voted yesterday and you like the results, congratulations. If you voted yesterday and you didn't like the results, as we sports fans always say, there's always next year and there's always another election. In this case. Have a safe and pleasant one, my fellow Americans. This is Uncle Sam Arthur saying so long until we meet again.